Pistol caliber carbines and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship. They're unreasonably fun to plink with and make great suppressor hosts, but they lack the effective range and terminal ballistics of firearms in more traditional rifle cartridges. But these limitations don't really apply unless the shooter intends to commit their pistol caliber carbine to serious work, like home defense, police, or military use. And truthfully, in all but the largest mega mansions, the ballistic effectiveness within those confines isn't going to be an issue. Still, given the unreasonably high price of most pistol caliber carbines, I've always found it difficult to justify purchasing one for any reason other than cool factor or for a suppressor host. At least, that was the case until I got my hands on the carbine version of CZ's pseudo subgun, the Scorpion Evo S1. Chambered in 9mm parabellum, the Scorpion is a direct blowback, magazine-fed, semi-automatic carbine. It feeds from detachable, staggered columned magazines built from translucent, high-impact polymer. These magazines are available in 10, 20, and 30 round capacities. But here's the kicker. Most pistol caliber carbines utilize either pricey proprietary magazines or pistol mags that ruin the clean lines of the firearm. The engineers at CZ took a different route, instead opting for very affordable magazines, even though they're proprietary. I mean, these little mags rarely fetch more than $20 a pop. Now, if that doesn't sound impressive, consider the price of MP5 or MPX magazines. These normally run double or triple that price. And speaking of magazines, the mag release paddle on the Evo shows that the engineers didn't try to reinvent the wheel, taking aspects of proven designs and improving upon them. Now, what do I mean? The paddle release is reminiscent of the MP5 or the AK paddle release, but unlike both of these, is much larger and easier to actuate. This ease of operation makes it possible to eject empty magazines from the gun with the shooting hand's middle finger, leaving your support hand free to grab a fresh magazine. This really does speed up magazine reload times and is a welcome, albeit unexpected inclusion from a former comm-block country. Now, another MP5 influence is the charging handle. This non-reciprocating handle rests in a cocking tube above the barrel and, like the MP5, can be lifted up and locked into a small notch at the end of a cut in the tube. So yes, you can still perform the super tactical HK slap to chamber a round. But you don't have to use this style if you don't want to, and in fact includes a bolt release paddle on the left side of the firearm that can be easily hit with the thumb of the support hand after inserting a fresh magazine. Now, below this cocking tube and above that bolt release is a polymer handguard practically dripping with M-lock mounting slots. These slots are very useful for mounting Magpul accessories or Picatinny rail slots for mounting standard accessories like tactical lights, lasers, or foregrips. If the handguard seems unusually large for a 9mm barrel, it's because it's designed to accommodate a sound suppressor. And in fact, the design practically screams for one, which is why CZ and Silencer Co. collaborated on the project. See, the Fox suppressor that is back threaded onto the barrel actually conceals the extended barrel necessary to meet NFA regulations and is manufactured by Silencer Co. and is complete with a logo and proper markings. Shooters who want to SBR this carbine and install a shorter barrel can then mount a real suppressor underneath the handguard for a more streamlined, quiet, compact carbine. Something sort of reminiscent of an MP5 SD. Now, if you don't want to go the NFA route, but still want to customize the business end of your Evo carbine, the muzzle is threaded to a very common 1/2x28 pitch. Same as on a Glock or any other mainstream 9mm handgun or carbine. Now, at the opposite end of the firearm, the Evo includes a folding adjustable stock that includes QD sling mounts and magnetically holds itself folded. Unlike the pistol version of the Evo, the carbine comes 922R compliant from the factory, so shooters can deck out the gun any way they want without fear of running afoul of the law. Plus, the receiver features a full-length optics rail that ends just at the handguard. Which brings me to the first issue with the gun's design. The iron sights are aperture type and impressively effective given how short the rifle's sight radius is, but they aren't standard AR-15 height. So if you have optics designed to co-witness with AR sights, they will likely not co-witness with the included irons. This is why I've utilized this Zeiss Z-Point, which is actually designed for PDW and submachine guns. Now, thankfully, the rail can accommodate any sights a shooter wishes to install, so this is a very minor issue, but one that shooters should be aware of. Now, the other issue I encountered was with the pistol grip and the recoil. See, direct blowback firearms produce more felt recoil than locked breech guns in the same caliber. This is because the only thing keeping the action closed is a stiff recoil spring and a heavy bolt and carrier. So when this massive bolt travels rearward at high velocity, it violently shakes the gun and transmits that recoil from the stock into the shooter's shoulder. But since the Scorpion is only chambered in a pistol cartridge, 9mm, this recoil is relatively light, but still more than most would expect. The benefits of this method of operation, however, are increased reliability and excellent suppressor performance. See, with nothing to lock or unlock, so long as the spring still provides enough force to chamber around, the gun will fire. As for use with sound suppressors, since the action isn't as precisely timed as, say, a camming action, the gun's performance is relatively unaffected by the addition of a suppressor, which normally increases back pressure and thus operating pressures. But what about the grip? Well, in my personal experience, it's not terribly comfortable, and the safety whacks my knuckle every single time I pulled the trigger. Now, this is partially because I grew up shooting 1911s and thus hold guns as high as possible to help mitigate recoil. Plus, it was a non-issue with gloves, and if this were my personal firearm, it's one that I could solve with about 5 minutes in a Dremel. So wait, just non-standard sights and a semi-uncomfortable grip? Sure seems like I'm nitpicking, doesn't it? Well, this is because these are about the only things I can find fault with on the entire gun. See, the Scorpion Evo was stupidly reliable with no malfunctions across 500 rounds fired. This is after the previous owner took the carbine to a new shooter's event and put countless rounds through it with only a rough wipe down and re-oiling. Also, accuracy was much better than expected. The Evo's trigger isn't half bad, and the gun's barrel is basically free-floating since it doesn't have a gas system. The Evo averaged around 3 inches at 50 yards, shooting unsupported. While not minute of angle, given the limited effective range of a 9mm, this is more than adequate for competition or self-defense. Plus, presumably, with magnified optics and/or the gun in a vise, it could probably achieve 2 or sub-2 inch groups. And lastly, the ergonomics are phenomenal, other than that safety hitting my finger, and the gun is lightweight and extraordinarily handy. Retailing for $999, the CZ Scorpion Evo 3 S1 fills the hole in the market left by high-end pistol caliber carbines and availability issues of more affordable options from companies like Kel-Tec. Still, if you've always wanted a pistol caliber carbine that looks and feels like a badass submachine gun, CZ's Scorpion Evo Carbine is the gun for you. It may have a few shortcomings, but all in all, it's an incredible value, and one that shooters should not take lightly, given the average cost of most pistol caliber carbines. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Burst Reviews.